What up, family? It's the New Eureka Advisor back again. And I got a topic or two, to talk about. Let's see, looking like Jesus. With the wet, it's hot out here in Texas. So I got like a wet shirt on top of my head, if you hadn't noticed. Now, I got a good topic today. And Organic Soul Jazz, I appreciate what you mentioned regarding, I think, what would be a good topic, which would be religion, since I'm looking like Jesus. And of course, that's not the only religion, Christianity, but it's one of the main religions that I think our people fall into sometimes a trap. And that trap is sometimes when you get into a doctrine, most times you can't pick and choose what it is that you want to follow and what you don't want to follow in regards to that doctrine. You really have to take all the doctrine and put it to practice. And if it suits, not just suits you, if it works in the way that you need it to work, then you keep on running with that doctrine. I mean, right now we're talking about Christianity, but you could, same thing about Islam, and the same thing about Islam and Judaism. Of course, those are the big three. So, I think today what we should really touch base on is how is it that religion is allowing you to live a better, more complete life. Because, like I said about doctrine, you can't pick and choose what it is that you want to follow. See, that's the problem. You got to follow exactly to the letter that it's supposed to be. And most people are like nowadays, especially with certain tenets of the religion, they kind of pick and choosing what these tenets really mean. And I mean, actually a few things, marriage, sexuality, and what we say, marriage, sexuality, and let's just say parenting. Now, everybody, depending on what religion you are, they're going to have a way. Actually, all the religions pretty much say the same thing in regards to those three main ones that I mentioned: Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. They mention the same thing in regards to all three I mentioned about marriage, parenting, and sexuality. Is that sexuality is between basically a man and a woman. You can't have three. You can't fuck with dogs. You can't fuck with. You can't. Sex comes together between man and woman. That's it. That's that way. That's the way that the Bible recognizes it. That's the way it's always recognized. I know that things find themselves changing, but that never changed, because without man and woman, you can't produce any seeds. Seed can't be fertilized in the earth, which is the woman, and you won't be able to produce, that one person. There's like two make one, and that's the problem that we're having in society now. Is people are really not coming to grips with that very thing. Now, if you want to do things, you want to do things on your own that make you feel, complete, or you feel, you feel erotic. If you want those erotic things, that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But when it comes to marriage and producing children, that's the old way. See, that's always been the old way. Now, sometimes we get into a funk where it's like, we might disagree with these things, but I know that the problem is it's not about not accepting people's way of going about their own lives, in regards to sexuality. But I think that the problem is that when society has to go along with it, see, because people still are not, messing with that, and people don't want to be forced to do anything either. But the more you see certain things on in the media regarding the LGBTQ, LGBTQ lifestyle, or for some people, genealogy, because it seems like a new genealogy. That's where the problem is that people are still trying to come to grips with this whole new idea, which is really pretty new, because in society, like I said, you could have a person that's kind of off track, or like a weirdo, and that was accepted in society at one time. You just look at him and say, hey, he's a little different, or she's a little different. But most people leave it at that. They don't throw bottles at people, and they don't have any real disdain toward anyone. But enough about that very thing. Sexuality is one of those things that the three religions of this world that pretty much agree that two people make one, and male, female make one child. Man, woman, child. That's how it used to be, and that's the way it's still, or should be. Hey, I came out of that union, right? Next, marriage. Now, the marriage, it goes, not my marriage, I apologize. Oh yes, marriage, I apologize. It goes in the same way. Two make one, and the idea of being with, committing to someone and coming into a union with someone, usually when people say union, that just means that they are uniting to produce the one child. They must come together to do that very thing. And like I mentioned about the LGBT community, that, whether it's adoption, to have a child, whether people go with adoption or in vitro, or they get surrogates, or whatever. That's not the way it is. That's just adding, alternatives to things that are that's supposed to be natural, in the sense of man, woman, and you produce child. That's what we're talking about as far as what's natural. That's natural. Like I said, I came out of that union just like you all came out of that union too. And the last thing, parenting is, I think, it kind of, when you don't have yin and yang, like a total, like, left and right, you need two people that have totally different ways of thinking and being to give to that child, to make that child become what it should become. And it's a whole person. You need two halves that made that whole, so that you have two different perspectives, or two different ways. You have an emotional way, then you have a more logical and aggressive way, you have more, a compassionate way. You put these ways together in regards to male and female, and then you have a more balanced child. So that's what I got today, and I just want to let my subscribers understand that, hey, I thank Organic Soul Jazz for mentioning these topics, and I think, as far as religion, and I think one of those I'd like to point out, throw a little bone in there, as far as a child being ready for the world at 18. It really should. Well, actually, 18 is a proper age to plug that child right into the military, or plug that child right to the university. They're gonna figure it out one way or the other. So I think, brother, thank you for the topics, and I'll put some more material out, and I hope you enjoyed this particular installment, and you have a pleasant day.